If you bow your heads, please.
Yes, sir.
Our Father, we come to you, O God, inviting your presence in this place. God, we ask now and give you thanks for being in this place. God, we ask now that you touch every person in this place. Give us a spirit of unity. Give us a spirit of peace. God, and bring us together as a city, and we thank you for that. God, we ask again for, especially for the leadership of this city, the leadership of all places in this city, that you, God, live big in us, God. Live whole in us, God, that we might do and say the things that will bring peace and unity. We bless you now and ask, God, that you bless this city. Keep it full and holy. Keep it peaceful. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please rise for pledge.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, Council, I need a motion on the work session minutes for February the 7th.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Get a motion on the regular council meeting minutes for the 7th of February.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
All right, Mr. Mayor, you're up.
President, good evening. How y'all doing?
Good evening.
Good evening to the council. Going to be very brief tonight with just a couple of highlights that we want to share, starting with some of our best small business owners. And we're going to start with the Iron Skillet Contest winner. And she is a familiar name to I would probably say all of us, and that is Ms. Martha Hawkins. She's been a part of the community since 1988, and her fooders are veered far outside of Montgomery. And aside from the collard greens, Martha's Place offers a wide variety of daily food selections, from fried chicken to dressing and mac and cheese, which is my favorite, and so many other Southern staples. But of course, Ms. Hawkins' profile and courage and is example to so many. Her journey has been chronicled in her book, Finding Martha's Place, My Journey Through Sin, Salvation, and Lots of Soul Food. During Black History Month, we're celebrating Black culture makers, artists, and leaders, and Ms. Hawkins falls into all three categories. And knowing her sons, they should be here as well, because all of them had a tour of duty in the restaurant at some point or another. And so we're so honored that Ms. Hawkins has been chosen the 2023 Iron Skillet winner. And Ms. Hawkins, would like to ask if you would come on up. If you'd like to make any comments, you can do that, and then we'll take a little photo. Come on, Ms. Hawkins. Yes, ma'am.
To be here, but not only that, I'm so honored to have my community that's been supporting me for the last 35 years. Amen. It's been a blessing, because I couldn't be able to do what I've done if y'all hadn't trusted me and still invested in me, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, both. Thanks,
All right, again, we want to thank Ms. Hawkins for being a staple here and really being a big cornerstone of our food culture and cuisine, something that we're trying to amplify in our city to not only our residents, but to those who visit us from around this community. And I'm glad, Ms. Hawkins, to hear that you have plans to expand right here in Montgomery and your location that we all know so well. So I'm looking forward to that. Next, we want to get to the Honda Battle of the Bands recap. We want to congratulate Carver High School Band for a great performance in representing Montgomery Public Schools at the Honda. You can give them a round of applause. At the Honda Battle of the Bands contest over the weekend. We want to congratulate Alabama State University and this entire community for all that they did to host the event, and so much of the positive publicity came out of it. We want to thank the city for helping to sponsor that as well. And we want to thank everyone who made this possible, including Honda and its president and CEO who were here, Naria Kahara, for bringing the Battle of the Bands to Montgomery for this first on-campus event. Honda is donating $50,000 in grants to each of the 6 universities in attendance, including the Alabama State University, also donating $100,000 in local grants to nonprofits in our community. So we want to say thank you to Honda for that. $100,000 in local grants to nonprofits will really go a long way to assist those who do so much in our community. Now, we want to also highlight the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts local artist pop-up shop. And again, we want to encourage those that are in the city to visit our museum. And one of our last Black History Month events will take place at the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts this Saturday with our first local art pop-up. We were fortunate to have amazing artists and crafts being done by their original pieces being done by artists right here in our city. And so we encourage everyone to support the local art scene by visiting MMFA and checking out their artwork and maybe even taking a piece home. You don't always have to go out of town to buy good art or to buy great art. We have a lot of that right here in our city, and it's important that we recognize those that are right here in our midst and in our community and try to support them for those of us who are established art collectors and who are would-be art collectors as well. Finally, on Saturday the 25th at 11 a.m. at Peter Crump Elementary School, there will be a Stop the Violence walk. I know that Councilman Mitchell will be a part of that, as well as the Office of Violence Prevention and our Public Safety Department. I want to say to Councilman Mitchell, thank you for the invitation. Unfortunately, I'll be at a funeral on Saturday and unable to attend, but I want to thank all of you for doing these Stop the Violence walks, and we have to do more throughout this community to assist not only those community leaders who are trying to do those things each and every day, but provide the opportunity and provide the pathways that we can to show so many people, not just young people. Young people get too often a bad rap, but to show even those that are on the margins that are not so young anymore that they're still trying to make a course correction, and there are opportunities for even those that are into their 20s and 30s and beyond who are trying to figure out how to make the right choices. So again, we want to thank all of you who are involved in the Stop the Violence Walk. And with that, Mr. President, that concludes the mayor's message, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. All right, Madam Clerk, first item.
Mr. President, item 1, review of Bama Auto Parts at 4119 Mobile Highway.
Ms. Graham.
Is Mr. Akuba here?
I don't see him. He didn't sign up.
The owner of Bama, are you here? Okay. Can we, Ms. Blaylock, put them on the next agenda? Do we need to send them another letter, or how do we need to do that? Because he hasn't paid.
He has not renewed the license yet for this year, no.
Okay. He's done what twice?
2023 license.
Okay, so he hasn't
No license.
settled up with our
Okay.
business licensing department.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
just
we,
carry this item over to the next time.
and you'll send them notice to let them know?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Very good.
Item 2 has been withdrawn.
Okay.
Item 3, resolution contributing $500,000 to United Way for the Flatwood community.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I want to carry this over for a couple of council meetings. In talking to Terry at Levitate, I think some wording needs to be changed on this to make sure that we're doing it the right way. But at the end of the day, we have to get these people some help. So, but I want to do it the correct way. And so let's
Carry it
just
over.
carry, yeah, sir, let's carry it
Carry
over
it
to the
over
next
Monday?
council. Let's take it to the next council meeting. If it's not then, we'll carry it over again.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that we do this correctly so that the right people are getting the money and it's not going for administrative staff and that sort of stuff.
Just carry over to the next.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Item 4, review of CARE and Haynes ambulance companies regarding non-compliance with the Ambulance Ordinance.
Chief, how do you want to handle this? Bring Haynes and Care up here.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir, Chief.
Today, we want to talk about the private ambulance service for our city. First, I'd like to thank Tony Haynes, who's sitting in the back here. Tony has owned Haynes Ambulance since, I don't know, 50 years, but he came into Montgomery in 1974 and have served the city very well and committed to the city. But during the pandemic, we started having issues with staffing, paramedics, and just staffing in general. So it has worked into 2023. And what we want to do today, we're not talking about licenses and anything like that, but I think we need to formally, from the fire department stand, tell the council and the mayor formally some of the challenges that we're having with our private ambulance. And so, we're just going to use, and this started in the pandemic, 2020, and so we go through 2021, but we're going to use January 2022, January 2023. So there's 42 emergency calls during that year period of time that there's no paramedic on board with the private ambulance. And so that is a part of the ordinance that they must have at least one individual out of the two that has a paramedic license. So there was 42 times in this past year that there was no paramedic on board. 2, 335 days, Haynes Care. And when I say Haynes Care, it's the same company. It's by the same owner. Care was a second ambulance company, but I think in 2021, Kirk, they purchased Care and they kept the name as business-wise. So Care, in 335 times in that year, they showed up, failed to have the required number of ambulances for the city, which the ordinance allowed me to pick the number of ambulances needed. And when I said pick, was select the number that sufficiently covered the 911 call, and it's been at 10 for maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 years. So 335 times in that year period. 335 days that they did not have the number of ambulances available for the city for 911 calls. So in that same year period, there was 277 times there was no ambulance available. And that's when we came in, which we are not really ready for it. We had to transport it. And so that was 277 times. And I think in 2022, we did 39,000 calls, but 277 is a lot. 4? 111 emergency calls. They didn't meet the response time. The response time for an ALS call was advanced life support is 10 minutes and 59 seconds. For BLS, which is a lower service, it's 11 minutes and 59 seconds. So 111 times, they did not meet the required times. And this posed a problem too, because not meeting that response time, 10 minutes and 59 seconds, well, they may be delayed 18 minutes or 20 minutes on a cardiac arrest kind of situation. So that again push us into making a decision to transport, and we're not there yet. 5. So it's trending up, and so these are some of the numbers that we kind of put together. In 2021, 75 patient transports. 2022, 344, and from October until the 15th of this month, we've done 517. And so that put us in the fire department in a not so good situation, because we're working towards getting better in this area to help support the private ambulance, but these are some of the things that's happening, and we felt like we need to bring this to your attention because it is an ordinance, and you are the governing body of the ordinance.
So, Mr. President, Chief, what would be the fix?
Sir?
How do we fix this?
Well, currently, Kara Haynes has the responsibility through ordinance of transporting. So I'll allow Mr. Barrett to probably take that question.
Yeah, so we've experienced, as many healthcare providers, a lot of staffing shortages, and we've taken steps to mitigate that by starting a school in-house for a paramedic program. But it takes 2 years to certify a paramedic, so that takes time to rectify. The bigger issue is the area hospitals are all so backed up; they're on diversion. And many times we take patients there, it takes us 2-3 hours to drop a patient off, which takes our ambulances out of service. So there's many times daily that we may have 10 or 15 ambulances tied up at the area hospitals trying to drop patients off. This last month in January, we had 1,035 trips that took over 30 minutes to drop off, and we had 254 of those over an hour to drop the patients off. And we experienced just last month 901 hours of out of service time dropping patients off of the area hospitals. So there's just, the hospitals are on diversion, and we have nowhere to take the patients, and it takes time to drop these patients off. We're having to wait to get them off our stretchers, so we're not available for 911 calls. And it's really put a strain on the ambulance service, which has in turn put a strain on the fire department for having to transport those patients.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So, Chief, I know that you said that the ordinance does not allow for the Montgomery Fire Department to transport at this time, and you're really not ready yet, that you're trying to progress in that direction, but you haven't gotten there yet. What do we need to be there? Because I'm not sure if putting more ambulance on the street is what we need, and he said it's going to take a couple years to get those paramedics and that training we need. And so I see that's something we can't resolve like tomorrow when it comes to their services that they provide. But is there something we can provide, a statute or something to help Montgomery Fire Department better serve?
Well, March 21st, I believe we're on the agenda to talk about a new ordinance, or ordinance that allow us to do cost recovery for the number of transport we're doing to help supplement some of the costs that we'll have. What Mr. Barrett is talking about with the paramedics, that's statewide, and that's a kind of national problem, but it's definitely hitting Alabama pretty hard. So we also have a class, I think we started with 23, we're down to 11, and it takes about 18 months to get someone from one part to the last part, which is the paramedic. We have a group hopefully graduating this August. We have another group hopefully starting in May, and so he's correct, but the paramedic deal is a statewide thing.
Okay.
And so everyone is struggling not just to hire people, but also hire paramedics.
And so that ordinance that you said we spoke about in May, where are we? Have we looked at?
We plan on March 21st, bring it before the council and talk about, it's ready to go, and hopefully you guys will pass it, where we can do cost recovery for the transport that we're doing. But we'll be a secondary, the primary transport will still be the private ambulance, but we'll have an opportunity to do cost recovery because the equipment and the trucks are really getting really expensive. So there's an opportunity, because right now, there is close to 900 probably transports there. If you did on the lower side, it's about $300,000 worth of transport. If you did on the high side, there's probably close to $1 million for transport.
Okay.
Right there now.
I got a couple of questions, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
For Haynes Care, is Montgomery your only area of service, or do you cover outside in the county as well?
Yes, we cover outside counties as well.
What does a regular shift look like for you?
So in the city of Montgomery, we work 12-hour shifts. In the area counties, we work 24-hour shifts. They're on 24 and off for 48.
Okay. And contractually, Chief, is this something that's done? And Mayor, if you want to chime in, I'm just curious, because I'm just coming in and I don't know how that looks contractually for Haynes and the city of Montgomery. Is that a termed contract, or what does that look like?
No, they're covered under ordinance. Any ambulance company that coming in to do business with the city have to commit to doing 911 calls to transport.
Okay.
So it's in the ordinance.
Okay. And you say it's ready to go?
Yes, ma'am. We
Could
have it
you-
on the agenda for March 21st.
Could you send that to us prior to? I'd like to read it just to do some research on it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Mitchell?
Chief Jordan, question for you. So if things do not get better with CARE/Haynes, are you guys willing and able, if things don't get better in 6 months, are you willing and able to, are you ready to take on that responsibility of taking over full control of transport and letting them be secondary?
Well, we're doing the best we possibly can. We will always do the best we possibly can. We always look for an opportunity the next day and tomorrow, the next week, to get better. We're working with Mayor Reed now to look at buying more ambulances, to replace units, and to make some expansion. We ran 10 ambulances for a long period of time. In the last year, we put in 2 more. And so my ideal is to talk with Mayor Reed is to try to put in 4 more to help out with the situation. But that's going to come with more staffing, more paramedics, and all that. So we got our fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll get there. But every day we look for opportunity to get better.
Chief, at one time, I think we still do it. Anytime Haynes transport, do our paramedics follow them to the hospital?
No, sir.
They don't?
No, sir. Only time now that we, when they show up, maybe without a paramedic, we cannot release that patient over
Okay.
because they don't have that equal paramedic on the unit. Then our paramedic ride in to the hospital. And that's putting both of us 10-7. He's 10-7 out of service, and I'm out
Okay,
of
yeah,
service.
out of business, yeah.
And we don't get cost recovery on that.
Well, that's the big thing, is the billing. I mean,
You still get the bill.
they still get the bill, we don't.
Right.
Well, can you pay us back? I guess the real bottom line is we've got to get into the billing business so we can start billing and transporting, because the reality of it, it's our responsibility first as a city to take care of the citizens. In Haynes, we're delegating to Haynes, but if Haynes can't handle it, and apparently it's happening all over the county also, because I'm hearing the county government's got a problem in the Pike Road area big time.
It's a statewide issue. EMS in the whole state is about 63% staffed.
Wow.
And I must say, Haynes, I can't say enough about the owner, Tony Haynes. Haynes been around for a long time.
I know, they've been good. They've been real good, and they're good as they are.
And we've had a lot of ambulance companies come through Montgomery, but thank God that Tony Haynes is still committed to the city of Montgomery.
What happened to Excelsior, whatever, are they just still doing
VA.
federal VA stuff?
Yes, sir.
Well, I feel your pain. I've seen the whole situation. I like what the Montgomery Fire Department's about to try to do. We need to start billing and transporting. Really do.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
Chief, I got a couple questions real quick. Are we out of pocket like Haynes is when we go to the hospital and we're 2 hours at the hospital with our firemen?
If we transport, yes, sir, we are subject to what they call the term on the wall, which is a waiting deal. So we're subject to the same thing.
Wow.
The
Okay.
system is broken right now.
And then
It
one more question, Mayor. equipment is the answer, could we possibly use some of the ARPA money to buy whatever he said, 2 or 3 more ambulances, I guess you called them? I mean,
I don't know if we can use ARPA money, given that a lot of that is already dedicated at this point. So I think we have to think about, the next budget year and what we move forward with from that standpoint. And I think the other thing is, Councilor Pruitt, we're also looking at additional revenues, funding that other cities have that we don't have in our general fund, so that we can address a lot of the needs that you all get. When you look at other cities across this state that are our size or larger, they all have larger budgets than we have. They all get a different revenue source, some multiple revenue sources, and so we're looking at that as something to bring up as early as this session, because we know there are needs across the city that our general budget just cannot support.
right.
I got one more question, Chief. I know that I know that MPS has a really nice program for the firefighters and coming out where they can possibly test and be prepared to go through your academy. Is there a possibility to look at something like that for the paramedics, or is that something that's combined in that program?
No, ma'am. We had a program at Trenton, and Trenton abandoned that program, I guess, 1 year ago. And so the program we're using now is through the Alabama Fire College. It's a remote learning program. And so that's the closest service that we have to a paramedic program. We would, Mr. Barrett would probably agree with this, we would be excited about any help that we can get to have any institution to have a paramedic program
Okay.
locally.
We need to support you because we're getting to the point as a city, we need you really bad. As our population ages, we've got a big time situation there. And then as your population gets a little bit less income, they need you as a doctor, it's a field situation that your people are doing, and yeoman's job, but what you're doing, but we got to solve the problem, because I don't think this is going to go away. We're going to have to figure out how to solve it ourselves internally, and because y'all have got the problem everywhere. You can help us some, but you can't help us as much as we're going to have to help ourselves. Because we got an obligation to the citizens of Montgomery that we need to take care of them, and I for one, I've used you quite a bit, and it's a great service, but it's one that is taxed beyond what we can do. When you got 500 that you've transported in the last 4 months, over 100 a month you transport. I think the training's in there, already been done, so we're there I'm here to help you. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Barrett.
All right, item number 5, we're going to carry
Carry
it
it
over.
over, yes, sir.
Okay.
Item number 6, application for a rental hall event center business license, doing business as E2 Events at 828 Lagoon Commercial Boulevard.
Gwendolyn Reed here, please. Ms. Reed.
Who district?
Brantley. I understand there's not a building there, is that correct?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That's what I'm about that.
Ms. Reed, is there a building there, or is that a vacant lot?
Vacant lot. Want to build one, but I also want to ask you about also leasing one, the difference.
Leasing one?
Leasing, building. Now building.
So you don't know which one you're going to do?
Right, but I want to build it, but I might want to lease first. So,
You're going to have to give us an address that you want to go to before we can make a decision for you.
Miss Reed, do you already own the lot?
no, I haven't
About what?
bought the lot just yet. I need to see what you all said first before I end up buying a lot. But anyway, I wanted to open a event center to provide the citizen of Montgomery a venue where they can feel safe at. And this venue we will have like sit-down dinners, family reunion, what have you. And my main goal is also with the venue to provide jobs after it get established.
Mr. President, Brantley, you got something?
No, I mean, we got no place to put it. I mean, we're wasting.
We don't have an address to
Ms.
assign
Reed?
to. I mean,
Yes.
I would suggest that you probably get with like the SBDC and kind of figure out where you're going as far as business-wise first before you do any other paperwork or spend any money or anything like that. Kind of just get your plan in place and then come back and see us.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Are you withdrawing this one?
That's withdraw it. Yeah. Well,
Item number 7,
I did it for you.
application for a restaurant retail liquor license doing business as Ha Shin Karaoke at 2787 Bell Road.
Representative of number 7, please. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, we're here for Hanshin Karaoke to get the liquor license.
Very good, okay. This is a public hearing, and who would like to speak against this item, please come forward.
Need your name for the record.
Yeah, your names, please.
My name is Casey and Tommy Park.
Okay, Tommy. All right. It's a public hearing. Apparently no one's against this thing, so I declare the public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council in motion.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with the business.
All right, thank you.
Item 8, application for a lounge retail liquor Class 2 package license doing business as Crown Tobacco and Package at 4340 Narrow Lane Road.
Representative. Yeah, you go, Jesse. Got you. Your name for the record, sir?
I'm Jesse Hefner, and I represent Samsel Arifin, the owner of the business and the applicant.
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing, and who would like to speak against it, please come forward.
Good
Angela, you-
evening. My name is Angela Exford, and I'm not voting against them. They're our business partners, so we have a great relationship, so we hope that you bless them.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else, anyone like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare public hearing has been held. It's brought before the council.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
Have motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with the business.
Thank you.
Item 9, application for a retail beer and retail table wine off premises only, doing business as Pure Food Mart at 9 West South Boulevard.
Representative of the Pure Food Mart here, please. Come forward. We got all this. Your name for the record, sir?
MD Farouk Hussain.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare public hearing's been held. It's brought before the council.
I have a quick question, Mr. Jim Wright. Was this service station open, or did you just recently open it up?
Open.
Okay, was closed down. Okay. That's the only question I had.
Need a motion to suspend rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
You know what, let me,
Adopt.
I'm gonna adopt it. I'm gonna come by and see you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
All right, good luck with your business, sir. Thank you.
Item number 10, resolution repealing resolution number 46, 2022, and appointing Shirley Smith to the Housing Authority.
Need a motion to suspend the rules on the rest of the agenda.
A motion to suspend the rules for the rest of the agenda.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 11, resolution appointing Kelvin Elkins to the Clean City Commission.
Need a motion,
Motion to adopt.
all in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 12, pursuant to Section 1153B1 Code of Alabama, authorization of demolition of unsafe structures at the listed locations.
Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
All right.
Item 13, resolution declaring, authorizing, and assessing cost of abatement of public nuisances on various lots.
Need a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Okay. Madam Clerk, you got 3 other items here we got to deal with?
Yes, sir. We
Lead me by the nose.
need a motion to reconsider resolution number 17-23, National League of Cities Service Line Warranty Program.
Need a motion to reconsider from one of,
Motion to, I move to reconsider.
all in favor, raise your hand.
Mr. President.
7. Mrs. Johnson, you voting no?
Yes, I'm just doing this because I just, when we come to the council meeting, we should all know what's going on prior to. Not that
Yeah, I
I'm
was fixing
disagreeing
to
with
ask the question.
anything.
Why are we revisiting it?
So I shouldn't have to ask that question here. We should have known prior to. That's this.
I had contact from the waterworks saying they weren't into it, didn't want to do it, and it was going to prey on poor people.
Okay.
Okay? That's all I'm talking about. Vote your bill.
Okay.
All right. I've got a motion to reconsider.
The vote is carried 7 to 1.
Okay. Now, I need a motion to
Deny.
deny. Anybody want to make that motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to talk to the water company and just see, can we carry it over? I mean, are they doing anything?
They won't deal with it because it preys on poor people. And they don't want their name attached to it. Okay?
And their name's not on it. It'll be the
It's
city of
not. It's
Montgomery.
strictly a city deal.
So you need a motion to deny?
I need a motion to deny.
Can
Motion
you
to
speak
deny.
on it, Mayor? I mean, I like I thought the idea, and now if it does, then we need to go back and fix it.
Yeah,
If it preys on the poor, but I thought it was a good program, and maybe I missed something.
I agree with you. I wasn't aware of this before 30
just
seconds
wanna
ago.
see, right.
So if at all possible, could we have a discussion about it? Because I think there's some conflicting opinions about this. And I'll be honest with you, they're doing it in other cities, and I know the infrastructure and clean water is a major issue in several parts of the city, a lot of parts of the city, actually. And I just wouldn't want us to kill this opportunity because we're unfamiliar with it. And sometimes I think that some of our authorities are unfamiliar with something new and they kill the idea. And I would just like to have this a conversation before the council
Okay.
makes a
That'd be a
full
good idea.
declaration.
I think it's fine.
Can we carry it over for 2 weeks?
Carry it
That'd be
over.
fine.
Okay.
If that's fine with y'all.
Carry it over, okay?
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
You gonna make some phone calls on it, Mayor?
Yep, I'll follow up with
Will
you.
you shoot us an email and let us know?
Sure will.
Because if it is bad, we need to fix it, and if it's not, we need to use it.
I agree.
Thanks, Mayor.
Okay?
Next is a motion to reconsider resolution number 23-2023, authorizing 50% of the proposed project cost for ADECA grant for Cypress Nature Preserve.
Motion to reconsider.
Do we need to have a discussion before we do that?
We can if we put it back on the table.
Oh, put it back. Okay, motion to reconsider then.
All in favor, raise your hand.
And this is the Cypress.
Unanimous.
Okay. Now, discussion.
Okay.
So, all right, go ahead. Who wants to talk about this? Anybody got to talk? I mean, the reality of it, we understand that you cannot use the money the way it's done to get a grant. The ARPA money cannot be used this way. So that's the rule. I understand the way the rules stated. Is that correct?
That's, Mr. President, yeah, just one question. I know that we talked about it and we said that we couldn't use the grant funds to match. So the question is, are we claiming lost revenue to do this? Ms. Beville, are we claiming lost revenue?
Okay, Ms. Johnson, would you repeat that and make sure I understood what you were saying?
So through our conversation and just the research and doing this, we were told that we can't use grant money to match funds or ARPA dollars to match this for grant dollars. So, but we can use loss of revenue. So we're
Okay.
just trying to get an understanding.
All right, revenue loss is ARPA money still, okay? Basically, the $41 million and some change that the city received, based on the calculations that we're using, and also the federal government said, the Treasury, you can account for $10 million per 4 years, starting 2021, 22, and 23. Okay? So we found out our calculation, the way they originally said to do it, was better than taking the $10 million per year. I think the first year it was 10, the next year was 15,
Yeah.
but it's still ARPA money, okay? It's not additional funding of any type.
Oh, okay.
They just allowed, because during the pandemic, the city of, well, all cities lost revenue. And so I had to report to the Alabama League of Municipalities what our losses were in certain categories of revenue. And that's why we were able to show that we had that revenue loss. And all of that money really could be considered revenue loss. That's what we're expecting by the time we get to the end of 23 and do the calculation.
So we'll use those dollars.
Can't use those dollars. You gotta use other dollars.
Yeah.
Right, that's revenue, it's still ARPA money. It's just how we were able to calculate
Okay.
how much
So
revenue
you can't
loss
use
we
it.
had to account for all of those dollars.
So you can't use it.
So we can't use that for this.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, that answers your question? I need a
Yes.
motion to deny this.
Move to deny.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
So, okay, one last question. So we're gonna come back and we have, Ms. Beville, I'm sorry. So we do have the $1 million. We can use $1 million, Mayor, Ms. Beville. So we have the $1 million and we can use $1 million. There's maybe some budget funding, there's maybe in a,
Now, where did $1 million come from? I missed that
that's
part.
what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm asking. We have $1 million, or could we find $1 million to use for this project inside of the budget?
The current year's budget? Not at this point, because I don't know if we're going to have any fallout at the
Okay.
end of the year, okay? We hope that we do, because that's what increases our reserves. But it's just too far out for me to make that prediction. I won't start giving you all income statements, how much revenue we're projecting to have over expenses or break even or whatever, until the second council meeting in March.
That'll be good, Ms. Beville. And one last question. So
Excuse me.
can we, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was saying, excuse me. Okay.
So can we apply for this the next round after we find out if we have fallout or whatever? We can apply for this grant the next
Certainly,
go round?
we can do that if we have the funds available.
Okay.
We had Chief Jordan up talking a few minutes ago about having to buy these trucks and all. That would have to definitely come from, our revenue exceeding the expenditures in the current year right now, because we don't have any other source of funding that we could use towards that. So I'm hopeful it'll be a good year, but I'm not clairvoyant, so.
I know it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, one other item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. We need a motion to reconsider Resolution 30-2023, which appointed Marilyn Colson to the Human Resources Board, and it should have been Donna Nelson.
Okay.
So if
Need a
you'll
motion?
Yeah.
Reconsider.
Mr. President, move to reconsider.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Now we need a motion to adopt and a motion to amend.
Mr. President, motion to adopt as amended.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Two different
Two-
motions.
two- Voting on the motion to amend. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to
Yeah,
adopt.
Motion to adopt, all in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you. Unanimous. The resolution is adopted as amended.
Okay. You have anything else, Clerk?
Mr. Grimes has a resolution.
Oh, definitely.
It's a resolution appointing Johnny Sankey to the Parks and Rec Board.
I move to put Johnny Sankey on the Parks and Rec Board.
You got copies of it?
Man, I wasn't in the middle of this thing. This is Kevin Elkins.
That's it, you remove it, Kevin, and replace it.
Come on, Ed.
That's it. You have a copy of it, Bridget?
I gave them all to, put them on Mr. Grimes' place before the meeting started.
Okay, here we go. They got them all.
Okay.
You got us this for. You got us.
Check on your files.
Okay, y'all got it? Matter of fact, I got it.
Y'all got.
Yeah, I was going over to Mr. Callahan. Okay.
You're gonna have to.
He found it. Oh, you ain't found it yet?
Hey, we're gonna carry it over, Mr. Grimes.
Carry it over.
He got it.
They don't need to take more. Hey, we got them down here.
There they are.
All right, we ready, Mr. President.
Need a motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. Grimes, need a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Unanimous. Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Thank you, sir.
And I do have a few contingency funds that Mayor and I didn't have enough time to get them up to you. For Councillor Pruitt, it is $1,500 to Universal Youth Foundation and $1,000 to MPS for Capitol Heights High School for baseball, and they are vendors.
I have a couple. I need to, District 4 needs to give $750 to Montgomery Housing Authority.
Okay.
And, 700 to, Brentwood Children's Home.
Okay.
Are there any others?
None.
Mr. President, or Mr. Vice President,
Mr. Pruitt?
move to adopt.
I need the mayor's approval for the
Oh,
first.
yes. Mr. Pruitt,
Now move to adopt.
all in favor, please raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Anything else, Madam Clerk?
No, sir, that's it.
Okay, in
Mr.
our public.
Calhoun.
Yes, Mr. Pruitt?
Mike, can you pop these up real quick before we go into the things? Should pop up on your screen. Mayor, these have, and CC has been involved in this for a while. The pictures of these donation boxes. If you see these, Mike, can you just scroll through them? This was just one location. It was you. I knew it was one of you guys. That's at TJ Maxx there on the bypass in Vaughn Road. Can we look at possibly putting an ordinance together to remove these things?
I thought we already had that.
No, we did too. That looks horrible.
I think we've looked at this before, and I can go back and find my emails. As I sit here, I can't remember specifically. We can't do a lot with this because it's on private property.
But can we not outlaw those containers in the city?
We cannot. It's a violation of the Constitution, and I
We
can.
make people cut their grass. How do we not do this?
Amen.
But we don't take their property from them. And I can't explain it as I sit here, but it's the Commerce Clause, the right to do business. We looked at possibly requiring them to get permits, but those who didn't get permits, we have no way of identifying them. So we've explored this before, but there really are no easy answers. As you know, there aren't many easy answers.
Hey, Stacy, and I think the fix was in the past, that's a violation of our code. That's litter, junk, and trash on private property. So I think Housing Code was going out there citing them, and we were sending a lien to the private owner. If that's TJ Maxx, that's how we was rectifying that by sending, just like the inspection department go out. That's something that we don't need to tolerate. So if they can go out and inspect that at their property, we send a lien to TJ Maxx, just like we do if you don't cut your grass, and it's up to TJ Maxx to fix that problem.
Right.
Because we had it at Home Depot, and they removed them. Home Depot removed them just based on, I sent them a letter, and it was a nuisance.
Right, and I think you had a couple of issues with like the owners of property who didn't want to, who couldn't afford to pay to have these removed from their property. And I'm not really sure how to address that other than to have it abated. But again, you're looking at the property owners who may not even know who put these containers on their property, and they're having to pay to abate the nuisance.
Okay, let me ask you one more question, and again, maybe I'm being too simplistic. If we go out and a car has flat tires, we tow the car. We take the car. And they eventually get it back if they pay their fines. Why could we not do the same thing here and make the fine so steep that if they continue to do this, we'll take it and put it in Councilman Calhoun's front yard when they pay their fine.
Wrong answer.
When they pay their fine,
they can get it back.
So-
Why could we not look at something like that?
So I Council Pruitt, I agree. I think one of the things that, we're doing is we're updating our zoning ordinance. And one of the challenges that I have is that, a lot of our fines for commercial and corporate entities are not proportionally related to what we find individuals and residents. And I think that there's not a lot of motivation for absentee landowners and out-of-town investors who are now buying up, and they have been, but certainly now in greater quantities, homes, apartments, and now retail shopping centers. They're doing this in part because our taxes are low. It's a tax write-off for them. They don't care about it, and they don't have to pay anything. So I think it's incumbent upon us to look at increasing that for corporate entities in particular, relative to what we charge an individual homeowner for not cutting the grass or not picking up trash, and making sure that fine is something that will get them to clean this up, because this is not the only location. We were here some time ago, and we had other areas along the boulevard with the same challenge. And I think we have to do that if we're going to get their attention. Otherwise, they pass the buck, and we go back and forth between legal and their legal, and we'll be here, it'll be June, and we'll be having the same question.
That's right. CC, you want to put it, you want to do it?
Yeah, we'll put it.
Me, you, and Rhonda?
Yeah.
And we'll just set it at a later date.
Yeah, we set
Do
it.
we need to go ahead and do it now and just say we're going to have it?
Yeah.
But, Ms. Blaylock, can we set a committee with myself, Rhonda, and CC?
The chair needs to set it. Who's going to chair?
Mr. Pruitt.
And Aronde and
And
You
it's gonna
still
be
getting these
it's gonna be
cans at your
Mr.
house.
Pruitt, Mr. Mitchell, and Mr. Grimes.
Oh, attaboy, CC.
Okay, and this is going to be an ad hoc committee?
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding donation bins?
Donation box. Mr. Pruitt,
Boxes.
chair.
Yes.
Add no word to my plate.
8's going to chair, 6 and 1. Okay.
Ms. Blaylock, can we just do it next council meeting before, say, 2 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.
I think we can. I have to look at my
Okay,
calendar.
let's tentatively do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pruitt. All right, anyone else? All right, in our public communication roster, none agenda